This video is for business leaders who want to crush their productivity by creating habits and psychological momentum. When did you last feel productive? Was it true, or was it just the way you felt? And how did you know it was true? Most of us have way more things to do than we can possibly do any day and every day for the rest of our lives. So that can make us feel really overwhelmed, especially if we focus on it, and that kills our sense of momentum and productivity and progress. So this video will help you create more productivity and momentum using less energy. Watch to the end for bonus material on mastering momentum and my recommended video on hacking your own brain to get through your toughest leadership tasks. By that, I mean the tasks you have to do, but you hate to do. And this is just one more brain hack, one that I'll claim I invented, because as far as I've never seen it before. So I'll kind of claim I invented it based on work of other people that I've tested, and it's at least worked for me. So my eat the frog task, that's why we got this guy here. My Eat the Frog task remains doing website work, like doing my web pages and stuff, and doing the autoresponder. But I'm already finished for today. It was the first thing I did for exactly the reason I can't be giving advice or suggestions that I'm not using in testing unless it's already been extensively tested by others. So I'm taking my own advice. So I'm getting a lot better, and it's getting easier every day I do it. And I've only been doing it really consistently for the last few days. Oftentimes I'd still put this off and not always get it done. So the last two chapters of the book I reviewed yesterday, How to Be a Productivity Ninja, were Ninja Project and Meeting Management. Was the second last chapter, and the last chapter was momentum, which are actually perfect segues into this video. I didn't plan it that way, but it worked out that way. Since yesterday, I let you know I hadn't listened to those chapters yet, and I since have. It works out really interesting. So the Ninja Project and Meeting Management was basically about the logistics and how to set up a really good meeting, even the structure of the room, which I thought was really interesting, and sort of a deep understanding of the psychology of that. And also that the only reason you should have a meeting ever is to make decisions that can be acted upon, lest the meeting was a complete waste of time and lost opportunity cost, period. Now that's my position, and that's also the author's position. So I thought that was really good. Many of the very honest things he says, I haven't seen in any other book. It's one of the reasons I'm fond of it. So, and the other one was momentum, and which is kind of the topic of the rest of this video, because when we talk about momentum, and one of his primary ways to get momentum is one of my favorites, and the topic of the rest of this video. Momentum comes from making progress at meaningful work, and two of the very best ways to do that are building daily habits, or as I like to say sometimes, every fucking day, for a good reason, and starting with Mark Twain's Eating the Frog, or doing the hardest thing first, if you haven't heard of that story before. So it's also one of the core momentum, one of the cores of that chapter, the last chapter on momentum. So eat the frog first thing every day. Now, sometimes they say weekdays, but honestly, how many days in a row have you not brushed your teeth? I've come back to this before, but the bottom line is habits that we do every day are the fastest to build and the strongest, are entrenched the strongest of all, because we simply do them every day. So I'm just going to assume you brush your teeth every day, and you haven't really struggled to do so for decades. Just a guess. That's not an accident. How about your speaking? I'm a native English speaker, so it's not all that hard for me. I always tell my students, my Japanese students, it's like, how often do you practice speaking Japanese? And they say never. It's like, really? You speak Japanese every day. Is that not practice? They're like, well, yes, then every day. The things we are extremely good at, walking, most of the things we do that we have mastered to the point where we don't even think about them anymore are things we do every single day. And there's a real hack in there. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't take time off. That's an entirely separate thing. The point is, if you want to establish a habit, even if you say, okay, on Saturday and Sunday or a couple of days off, or on your vacation, you don't do it, that's cool. Or you don't do it 2 days a week, but ideally every day, even if it's for only a few minutes, will help entrench that habit that much faster, at least until it's really established. And then maybe you can take a couple of days off. Either way, you'll be good if you do it the vast majority of the time. So the thing that makes it so powerful is that, as I said, it creates psychological momentum, and it's beautiful because it's doing two things really. By doing it first thing every day or every weekday, you'll simultaneously maximize your psychological momentum for that day and your productivity for that day while establishing a habit, because you're doing it every day. So that's a habit. Now, there's an interesting thing that Katie Milkman said in her book, How to Change, which I recently reviewed and read or listened to. And that was, she talked about how rigid habits are easier to establish and start, but more brittle, because if you can't do it during those rigid times, same day, same place, all that stuff, that it makes you more likely to fall off the wagon when for some reason you're not able to do that. So every day, combining those two powers, the hybrid, doing it every single day as being a rigid part of the habit, and doing it at a flexible time as being a flexible part of the habit. And by making it flexible, saying you have to do it, exercise 3 days a week, any 3 days is fine, as long as you actually do it long term, as she stated in that book, it actually gives you a more resilient habit that you're more likely to do long term. So you can combine those two, and I think you should. So while my uber productive friend Al swears by starting with an easy win, for me, it's just way too easy to take that easy win, doing that one thing that you kind of like doing anyway. So it's easy, and yes, it gets done. But I always find something else that's funner, more desirable, I'm more comfortable with, to put ahead of the frog, that thing I don't like doing, that thing I suck at, that I know I need to do. So I wind up saying, okay, I'm going to do this easy thing, and that'll get me started. But it's not really a win for me. It's not a win. So essentially it comes down to this. It may be a productive day for me, but in the end, I haven't touched the one thing I wanted to do least and most needed to do and get accomplished. So at the end of the day, it feels like, well, today was a productive day, but I still failed. I failed because I didn't do any of that one thing I really needed to do, which of course over time is going to become the most urgent thing since it gets neglected. So for me, starting with the frog works best. What about you? Which one works better? Do you do the quick, easy win, or do you eat the frog first, do the hard thing? So that's it for the standard content, and welcome and thank you for watching through to the bonus content. So the best way I found to master momentum is to take one critical thing that you must do, come hell or high water, period. No exceptions, no excuses short of a medical emergency or natural disaster. And today, with this video, it's my 271st day. I've succeeded in doing so. So the idea of having one task that, barring all others, gets done no matter what, it works. It adds to what we are already talking about. It doesn't necessarily need to be the first thing in the day, because it's not necessarily the frog. But if you want to have one thing that you are absolutely going to get done, other than maybe your frog, the second thing in the day, or stack them together and make it the first thing, the frog and the one critical thing, you get those two done and you feel like you've accomplished something. If you do more, that's great. And you should do more Start with these things that are challenging. Do that one must-do thing before you do anything else beyond that, and it will help you stay in momentum in a way most other things won't. So that's it for that part. And my recommended video for today is Grow Your Grit by Being Your Own Dopamine Dealer. I'll put the link right there. Yes, I recently used this same recommended video, but it fits so well, I couldn't resist it. So please share this video with anyone who is struggling with building productive momentum. That's it for Crush It Club 271, Building Momentum by Eating Frogs to Form Habits. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.